I'm Bernie Okoneski and we're out at the Hunt Doctor farm. The Hunt Doctor can't be with us today because he's afraid of bees. Whenever we get a crazy idea, we let Dr. Lobitz do the research, and today he's going to show us how to make some honey.
An established hive in our area, doing well, might be able to get perhaps 100 pounds of surplus honey in a season that the beekeeper can take. We especially like to keep the hives at the Hunt Doctor farm because there's a lot of natural food for them to forage. At the Hunt Doctor farm, there are nearby apple orchards. He plants a lot of clover for forage for the deer, and the bees do very well with clover. Maple trees in his sugar grove give the bees a lot of early pollen, and there are a lot of natural wild raspberries. And we'll put the protective suit on. Some people use a full suit like I usually do. You could wear a half jacket with jeans or suitable pants on the bottom. I'm going to tuck my pants into my socks just so I don't get any visitors. I'm going to put the top of the jacket on. It's a one-piece jumpsuit. If it's closed up properly, shouldn't get any bees inside. And depending on what you're doing in the hive, how angry the bees are going to get, you can take various levels of protection. One-piece jumpsuit is probably the safest. This is a standard smoker. I have some sisal twine in there and some paper as fuel. Use a torch to light it a little bit easier. The smoker, we'll use it to create a puff of smoke that will calm the bees in a couple of ways. The bees think that there's a fire in the hive and they consume honey, which makes them less likely to sting. Also, the smoke masks the alarm pheromone. If any of the bees are alarmed, they can release a pheromone chemical scent that triggers alarm in other bees, and they're more likely to sting that way. So this will mask that, and just to make the bees easier to handle. You can also use it to move the bees where you want them, move them off of frames you're working on, get them out of the way when you're putting the boxes back together. This is a basic hive unit. This is one we assembled. They have purchased ones that you could assemble yourself or make your own. The hive bodies come in a couple different depths. This is a standard depth hive body. It comes in 8-frame and 10-frame widths. I use the 8-frame widths, just less to lift, kinder to my back. Instead of foundation, I glue in a little strip of wood, and that creates a starter guide, and the bees will build their comb right on there. You put a little bit of wax on there to give the bees the idea where to build things. So we'll get our bees in the box, and then there's a bottom board and a lid. And that's basically a complete starter hive. As they expand in there, you could add other boxes, different levels to allow them to expand. Both an additional brood box for them to raise their brood, their babies, and then once they fill those, you could add what are called supers, which are the boxes for the surplus honey that you're going to hope to collect if your bees work hard enough for you.
So I'm out on my farm, I'm on my tractor and I'm mowing my clover field, and I look over and there's a guy in a spacesuit. I go over there and I find out it's Lobitz, and he's putting thousands of man-hours working with bees to get honey. I said, Stanley, are you guys nuts? Just take a $20 bill, go down to Weiss Market and get some corn syrup.
We eat the bees out here because of the food plots. The bees help pollinate them, so the deer get bigger and more venison.
We're going to check and see how progress is, whether they've stored any honey for us yet. They'll start storing the honey from the top of the brood chamber upward, filling the shallower boxes, which are technically mediums. There are even narrower boxes than this they use for cut comb honey. And when these are full, each one might have 2.5 gallons of honey, I guess, 30, 40 pounds of honey. And it's still early in the season, but we'll see if they have any to spare for us. Now with the top entrance, I'm kind of confusing the bees that are returning now because they can't get directly back into the hive the way they're used to. So please, a little smoke, calm them down. We'll get another frame with honey. They have a little bit of pollen stored on the bottom of this one. As they backfill, they'll use that pollen to feed the brood down below and then fill that the rest of the way with honey before it's time to extract it. The bees collect the nectar, which is pretty dilute when they get it, and then they evaporate it in this little honey stomach and draw air across, fan with their wings, and progressively extract more and more, condense more and more water out. And there are bees that will test the honey when it's at the sufficient moisture content. They'll put these little wax caps over it. And once it's all capped, then we could take it and keep it for ourselves. If you look on this side, that's mostly bee bread, which is a mixture of pollen and a little bit of nectar. Here's an example of why you should wear your veil when you're working the bees.
One of the downsides of raising honeybees is getting stung. And if you're a little stupid like I am on occasion, you're going to get stung. I actually got stung in the face, and let me tell you, in about an hour and a half, my right eye, I could not force it open. And I looked like I was in a bad fight and lost. But still, I'm out there every day. It's a lot of fun.
2 years ago, another buddy of ours decided the hobby of the year was going to be beekeeping. So we told Dr. Lobitz about it, and he did his reading on it. Now our beehives are doing better than most. Normally in the first year you don't get any honey. We did because Dr. Lobitz did the research and we kept on the hives.
When we're ready to take the honey from the hive, a couple different ways of processing it as a hobbyist. Normally we'll just do what they call crush and strain. We'll take the frames with the honey and scrape the honey and wax into a strainer, crush it up with our hands, and then just let it strain into a 5-gallon pail. Let it settle for a few days and bottle it. In appreciation to the hunt doctor for allowing us to put some hives on his farm, bees are really happy there. There's a lot of natural forage for them. We'll bottle up some corn syrup and honey bears and tell him it's honey. He won't know the difference.